Nubia is back with a refresh to their camera flagship. It now has the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, so the latest and greatest super powerful chipset. We still have that 35mm camera with the Nubia Z80 now. It's got a 85mm periscopic camera, ultrasonic fingerprint reader, a 6.8-inch OLED screen up to 144 Hz, 7,200 mAh battery with 80-watt wired and wireless charging. It's a phone that has got a lot of potential, as you'll see in this video, but still has one thing that I find a bit disappointing for a flagship camera phone. Along with the phone, what else do we get included with our Nubia Z80? Well, we have a Type-C to Type-C cable and, no charger is included. There's a quick start guide. And then we do get a case. Now, this case is quite minimalistic because there is no protection on the sides of it. It just gives us the corners and the back. So you're still going to get that good look of the phone coming through and you'll feel the metal on the side, but it's not super protective. Don't get me wrong, it's great that this is included, however, but I would have preferred a case that covered the sides and perhaps was a TPU case. But they're very easy to pick up and relatively cheap. So I think this is a good looking phone. I like it in this white, resistive fingerprints. The metal frame around the outside is made of a nice matte finish to it. So again, you don't see any of those fingerprints. And this, a proper two-stage camera hardware button. So we've seen this on the previous models, and it's none of that silly, overly sensitive touch button. No, you push in, you get the focus lock, press down, and it takes the photo. This is brilliant. Why can't more brands do this? And the positioning of it is good. It's not like there, which is a little bit uncomfortable. No, they've put it in a good place too as well. So cell power button and volume up and down. Now, it does weigh 227 grams, which is, okay, it's not light, but it's not overly heavy, so it isn't too bad. 8.6 millimeters is the thickness. And that's not including, of course, the camera module, which juts out a little bit. So we still have the 35mm camera there that I mentioned in the intro. Perfect, I think, for portrait photos. It's a great focal length for that. And then we get an 85mm optical periscopic, so optical image stabilization, periscopic camera. And that one is 64 megapixels. This 35mm is 50, and an ultra wide, which is also 50 megapixels. The front under display camera, I think they've made a bit of an error using the same exact screen as the Red Magic gaming phone because it is an under display camera which does not have very good quality. You see later on, it's my big point of criticism of this phone is that. I mean, it looks brilliant, no ugly cutout, no notch in the front, but the camera performance really does suffer. Now it's 16 megapixels that. Down the bottom, we've got our SIM tray. It takes 2 nano SIMs, video out, and this is USB 3.2 Gen 1 here, and that's 2 nano SIMs for that. And sorry that I think I just said that, but the loudspeaker located here, antenna lines, loudspeaker in the earpiece, IR transmitter, and microphone. So very good build quality to it. And my model that Nubia sent out to me, this has 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of UFS 4.1 storage. So we have Nebula AI OS 2.0 that it is running, and I found no bugs at all with it. It is very, very fluid. Everything runs great. And at 144 Hz, this OLED screen, it's very smooth as you can imagine. Runs at 144 frames per second, 6.85 inches. And I will just quickly show you, I'll jump into settings right here. So this is the firmware, so based off Android 16, and some of the things that are in here that are showing are a little bit incorrect. It's probably because it's just the first firmware there, and I get an update and it will correct that and show that it's the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, not Gen 2 that's showing. So the display, just to quickly go in here, that we do have the normal kind of settings for this. You can change the white balance, and I forced the refresh rate onto 144 Hz. It's a great looking screen. It's just that the under display camera is the downfall of this, but I love how it is flat, so it's not curved at all, and the UI performance has been really good moving through it. I've noticed no bugs either. Now, when you first do get the phone, there is going to be a bit of bloatware pre-installed. It's not as bad as the Red Magic phones, but there's a few applications on there that you'd probably want to go and remove, and that only takes a few minutes to tidy that up. So we look here at now the benchmark scores show that it's clearly not a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. This is the Elite Gen 5. And the score here, this is around about 200,000 points less than the gaming phone with the same chipset. But that has liquid cooling and a little fan in it. And it shows you the difference. It does give a little bit of a boost there. Temperatures did go up 22 degrees Celsius. So it's quite a hot chipset I've found so far, the latest generation. And also the Dimensity 9500 does get reasonably hot, but I think it is a little bit more efficient and slightly cooler so far in my experience versus the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 here. Internal storage speeds are very good, so you can see really quick. That's not going to be a bottleneck at all. This is faster than PCIe 3.0 storage in most laptops still. Throttling wise, yeah, you're going to lose about half of the performance. Now, the gaming phone will hold out to about the 9-minute mark before it really starts to throttle. This really throttles about after 2 minutes or so. So the burst performance from this chipset is very good. But after, say, gaming for 30 minutes, the performance is only marginally better in my testing than, say, some of the previous chipsets. And it's just, again, to do with how hot it does get and how much they have to really throttle it. It does get very warm around the frame when you game for long extended periods. Up to 56 degrees was the temperature recorded here. I've used my own probe on it, and internally those kind of temperatures, I believe that temperature is monitored from the battery, of course not the chipset itself, but surface temps around the outside can be around about 32 degrees Celsius, so it feels very warm to the touch. Now the battery capacity in this one is not as much as their gaming phone, so this is 7,200 milliamp hours, and it even goes for longer, because it doesn't have the liquid cooling, it doesn't have the little fan sapping away at the battery, and they haven't pushed it as hard, I believe, when it comes to the CPU governor and just really pushing that performance, completely been topping it out. This is a little bit more balanced, so you get much better battery life. The gaming phone gets around about 2 hours of on-screen time less. So fantastic battery life we do get from the Nubia Z80, and then charging this battery is going to take about 71 minutes to fully charge it with a charger I have that is compatible at the 80 watts that it does charge at. You also get the 80 watts, not just wired, but also wireless. So great wireless charging speeds. Onto the audio and our haptics. Now, haptics, when you're using the keyboard, very weak, very, very weak. It's just tiny little pulses. I mean, it's nice, it's better than nothing, but I wish this was a bit stronger. However, when I do things like swiping back and others, you notice the strength of it is a little better, but a bit disappointing with the haptics. Voice calls out of the earpiece, they sound pretty much like any other flagship phone that I have. They are good. There is some background noise cancellation with the calls too, to make sure that you're understood and that comes through clearly. And let's have a listen to those speakers. So we've got the dual speakers. They're okay. They're very, very similar. Probably the same exact hardware as what is in the Red Magic gaming phone. I mean, they've got a bit of bass to them. The volume is okay. They aren't the absolute best that I've heard, but I will give them a pass. They're fine. And the sample I'll give you now, I'll play this at, well, let's put it up to around about 90% with the volume.
Fall asleep with the sirens out. There's blood on my hands. Somebody save me.
I take that back. These speakers are good. There's a bit of bass to them. They're at least a 7.5 out of 10, so they aren't disappointing. They're good loudspeakers. And on to gaming performance. So Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 now with the 16 gigabytes of RAM. As you can imagine, the performance is very, very good here. Now I'm running Wuthering Waves with the absolute top settings. So manually set 60 frames per second. Resolution is ultra high. So this is incredibly demanding, and we'll take a look at that performance. Now the performance, as you'd expect, is very good. The frame rate quite steady, but after about the 15-20 minute mark, there is a few frame dips. There will be a little bit of throttling taking place, pretty much exactly what was seen with running the 3D Mark stress test, very similar to that. Although with the gaming, it takes a lot longer to happen, that throttling, than with 3D Mark, which is a little bit unrealistic. So performance, very good. A nice, steady, most of the time, constant frame rate. And when you look around in other areas of the map, normally it's running really fast. Great performance here. It's just the occasional frame dip. If you wanted the absolute best top performance, then there is this. The review's also in the channel, and that is our Red Magic 11 Pro. So gaming phone with a liquid cooling, and it does have the 24,000 RPM fan in here, also keeping it cooler. So the throttling will be held off a lot longer with this particular model here. The only downside is that the frame, it does get a little bit hot, as I mentioned. It will, gaming, after like an hour or so, the frame heats up and you do feel it, and it will get up to around about 52, 51 degrees Celsius. So that's quite hot to the touch. Now the cameras of the Z80 Ultra have potential. I mean, portraits look good. I like 35 millimeter, and then the telescopic zoom at 85 millimeters looks good. Selfies, however, under display camera, very poor, not really flagship grade at all. Some photos like this one here of these flowers, just oversaturated. There's more optimization needed. Colors are off. It's a little too bright. They really do need to tweak this. Bear in mind, we are on the first firmware here, so there will be improvements. I'm sure they're going to tweak this. So you still get a lot of details, but a little bit over bright in that shot of Vera. Low light performance seems to be the best with the Nubia Z80 Ultra. I do find the low light photos are looking in general pretty good. I like the fact that the sky is actually black, which is what it should be, not green or blotchy. But there still is some optimization, like this photo of this lamp, for example. So there's a lot to like about this phone. I think 35 millimeters is a great focal length for portrait shots. If you take a lot of portrait photos, then you don't need to use digital zoom to get an equivalent like you would with other phones that are, say, 23 millimeters or 24 millimeters. You normally need to just pinch and zoom in a bit. You take a photo, but because of the digital zoom, you're degrading that quality unless you're going to a 3 times optical zoom. At the 35 millimeters, it's very good. Now, that two-stage hardware camera button is great. It's customizable too as well. So I love the fact that when you press down, you can focus, then you take your shot. So this is excellent. And why aren't other brands doing this? Nubia had it with the previous versions, and I think it is one of the best things they could have done for flagship camera phones. And the position of it is great. It's not stuck too far into towards the middle of the phone like others with this silly over-sensitive touch button. Like, I don't like the iPhone camera button, that touch button. It's just not very good. It doesn't feel great, and this has the hardware feel to it. Ultrasonic fingerprint reader, let me demonstrate that. So it is blazing quick. As soon as you touch it, it unlocks, and it has worked for me 10 out of 10 times, which is great. Now, the screen, it's bright. I love the fact that there's no notch, and that can be ugly, but they really should have gone with a hole punch style cutout for front-facing sensor, much better sensor than this one. It is the ultimate weakness of the Z80 and the previous models as well. Any models really that have an under-display camera. If you don't take a lot of selfies, if you're not someone that's vlogging out there holding your phone up and walking around and doing all that stuff, then you're going to have a great phone here. But if you are someone that does like to take the occasional selfie, maybe group selfies or selfies with your friends and family, you're going to be disappointed in that quality because it looks a little bit over-processed, artificial, and then the video performance from that front 16 megapixel cameras is downright terrible compared to other flagships. It's just not good. So I really hope that if Nubia, you're watching, please use another screen with a hole punch cutout style, maybe the same screen, but not the under display camera if you can. And then we'd have decent quality that's fitting for a flagship. So 7,200 milliamp hour battery with 80 watt charging, 80 watt wireless as well. Excellent, good battery life on this. You can get around about close to 11, 12 hours of screen on time, which is excellent. And the performance from that Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, really good, paired with the 16 gigabytes of RAM, that very fast storage too as well. So it's a monster of a phone. It does get hot when you game for extended periods. It's pushing a lot of that heat to the frame, as I did point out in this video. So thank you so much for watching my review here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.